Hey guys, how's it going? KRIPP'S here. It is time for companion druids to be viable in Diablo 4. Season 5 is coming out tomorrow. This is going to be my last of my 3 build guides and recommendations for the next season. A lot of people have been wanting to play minion-based druids, and honestly, I have been crazy/stupid enough to actually do that in the last 3 seasons, and I can tell you that it has not been without problems in the past. It has never been an all-around good build in my opinion, but I have played it. I have a bunch of max level druids that are basically in my character graveyard, and for one reason or another, they just didn't really work out as well as I would have hoped. But season 5 is going to be a little bit different. So it is the first time that I've actually had this build on Mobalytics for like, I don't know, 6-7 months now. It used to be called Don't Play This. I am proud to say that today I have changed the name of Don't Play This to KRIPP'S Season 5 Wolf Companion Druid. All right. So I think I am a pretty good authority on this build because I think you'll see a lot of people recommending Companion Druid, but they never actually played Companion Druid. This is a build coming from someone who has played Companion Druid for the last 6 months. Not exclusively, but more than I probably should have. Certainly more than I probably should have. If you guys do want to see the full write-up, and I'm sure there's a lot of details that you'll want to check out, make sure to check out the build on Mobalytics. That's where you can find all of my builds. In fact, you can, click on KRIPP and kind of see all that. This is one that I actually recommend, but I do want to go over what's good and what's still lacking a little bit in the next season. So, what's good? Well, this type of character used to struggle with survivability. They buff the crap out of Teriel's Might. You are just insane if you do not use this item. The all resist roll is like 65 base before masterworking. So you basically don't get resistance on anything. You just cap your resistance. It has an insane amount of all stats. It's going to enable like another board in your Paragon bonuses at least. It has damage reduction, and it has maximum resist that has been like doubled since season 4 to a point where if you masterwork that specific stat and get it like a greater affix, you can get maximum max resists from just this item, which is completely insane. It is going to be probably the first mythic, I think they're called now, mythic Uber uniques that you should craft. A lot of people would probably recommend Shaco. I'm here to tell you that Shaco is going to have some issues. Like when you first look at Shaco, it's like, wow, it's such a good idea. They even buffed it. Wow, how can you not? Well, they added a bunch of aspects for every single class. And when you actually start to put builds together, you're going to notice that you don't have enough space for all the aspects you want to use. And the biggest problem I actually had with this character. So why is that? Well, we have a new aspect that covers another issue we had before, movement speed. Well, you can get 45 movement speed on your boots through the aspect. Yes, please. Now, keep in mind, this is on Druid. Druid utility aspects are notoriously horrendous. We still use aspect of the alpha, but there is a new contender to overtake it. It's really close. But I tried to kind of make a setup where I utilize I still use the 3 minions, the 3 companions, but I try to make a setup where I utilize the damage of all 3. That doesn't really work. So because we're really only scaling wolves, we put the wolves there. But the other aspect on the amulet is Shepherd's aspect. Now, it's not updated here. Oh, actually, it is updated here. Oh, no, it's not updated here. Okay, so the new one is that your companions deal 10% damage, like multiplier, for each one that you have. And because we also use the gain 1 additional companion, that's for each one. So your wolves go to 3, your creeper to 2, and your ravens to 4, I believe. I think it's 9 total minions is the baseline. But we also have this new aspect. Kills have a 5% chance to summon a wolf companion to your side for 20 to 35 seconds. This effect is a lucky hit against bosses. Maximum 3 additional wolves, in addition, plus 3 ranks to wolves. So this is a new aspect. It's really good. It synergizes with the reworked shepherds. And if you get all your minions out, it's 12. So you can get 120 companion damage multiplier. But the alpha is still 130. And you might be thinking, oh, Kripp, come on, surely the other companions are going to bridge the gap and do 10% of your total damage. Actually, they're not. Your wolves are going to be your only real form of damage. This is coming from someone that has played companions for the last 6 months. It might look like ravens will do significant damage. They will not. It might look like poison creepers. Like, wow, that's so much damage. This is definitely... No, it will not. Your damage is wolves. But why is it different? It's different because they're going to do like 5 times more damage, and you're going to get more of them. This build has always struggled with area of effect damage, and they actually didn't address that. But what they did do is make the wolves hit a lot harder. There's more of them. And most importantly, they can't die anymore. So I think that's actually good enough. Basically, your wolves are going to just single target everything. But they're going to single target everything while uppercutting things for like 20 million damage baseline. The multipliers in this build are just like... It's like so ridiculous that it's comical. Like 130, this is going to be 120. This just like doubles it again. And then, you know, the glyphs are like some of the good glyphs are just insane also. The Stampede bonus gives you only 30, but you get the extra, so synergizes really well with that one. And doubling the Bestial Rampage more than doubles their damage again. So it's a pretty big deal. Now, while they can't die, I think they can still get like crowd control and stuff. So it's pretty important. That's kind of how the Seneschal work, by the way. So it's pretty important that you actually spam your wolf button. Pressing the wolf button breaks it out of its current crowd control. It's still really important that you do that. There is this thing where, where does it hit? Lucky hit critical strikes have 25% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills. It used to be that when we had fewer good aspects and fewer good unique items, you'd play like Poison Landslide, which would crit constantly, and you just keep spamming the Poison Landslide, and you interweave it with the wolves, and that used to work out pretty well. There's just no room for that. I went through this so many times. I spent hours on stream trying to figure out this build. It just doesn't work. If I had another slot for like damage, I would use the new like Mjolnir ring, which if you have Cataclysm, it doubles your damage during Cataclysm. And I just Cataclysm instead of Petrify, and that's like insane. That's like insane. Like I want to do that. But, you know, when I started kind of figuring out where I would put everything, I just can't put things. There's just not enough slots. The only way to use that ring is to move one of these aspects and use a one-hand offhand situation. But that is much, much worse because it's going to affect your wolf cooldown. So we want the wolf cooldown reduction on each of these, so we can get like 75 cooldown reduction on the wolf, and it kind of takes them like a second to jump. Like if your wolf had a cooldown of 0, it can't get a cooldown of 0. But if it did, if you just spam the wolf button, they would still only really do it every like second and a half, maybe 2 seconds, depending on how far they are from you, because they kind of leap to the target, right? So it's fine. It's fine. Resetting that wouldn't even matter that much. But the moment that we go with like one hand offhand, well, that damage is not based on attack speed, and the wolf button is where you're going to get most of your damage. So it is kind of unfortunate, but we are at a stage where some classes just have far too many good options for aspects, and it's kind of an interesting problem to have. It certainly requires a lot more thought. Reduced damage taken from elites. There's also like movement speed and parry reduction. It's pretty cool. Normally you'd get this, but now you have to actually use all the companions for the companion count scaling with Shepherd. So when you have to use all the companions, you just can't slot enough skills that actually crit enough. I mean, you can, but then, like, you want to give up Petrify? I don't know, man. 50% more damage against bosses sounds pretty good. I mean, you can't give those up. There's no other slots. You can't slot a skill that crits. Like, that's where we're at. Unless you want to, like, claw down your enemies. And some guides actually recommend that. Please don't do that. Okay, the issue with this build after this update is that the survivability might be a bit weak without Tyrael. Any build that tells you to go claw mobs to keep up your wolf form, please don't. Life and crit damage. I think you might do crit chance instead of crit damage, or crit chance instead of life if you're doing content you can just blast through. Those 4 spirits are just complete. It's not worth it. We don't use any of that. We hardly use any of that. We only have 1 defensive skill. But the Wolves has its cooldown reduced when you kill something, and this does work with your companions. So sometimes you can just spam Bloodhowl like crazy. It's not going to have good uptime of these, like DR if you use the skill in last. It's not going to be good against, like, bosses. But against bosses, this build is like press wolf button, and it's over. That's it. Like, that's like 1 billion damage. So you don't have to worry about bosses that much. You get all the companions, but you're really only scaling the wolves. I have a new tech here. So the wolves, when you use the pants, the storm whatever thingy, storm's companion, they become a storm skill. And through testing, people have found out that they don't scale as a storm skill or a werewolf skill. Like, there's an aspect for your werewolf skill to do 25% more damage. Just doesn't do that. But there's like a glyph where you can get like a pretty big damage multi if you do like lightning bolts or whatever. So it's kind of like 4 points in that glyph. It's actually pretty good. So I went for that. Use trample. I'll explain why in a second. These are pretty weak uptime. Petrify is pretty good. A large part of it is that the weapon tempers, they're just terrible. Really terrible. So you can get Petrified Duration. And Petrified Duration is actually pretty good when you start to look at, like, the actual, like, skill and what it does. Like, 50 more crit damage against the bosses, and the baseline duration is like 7.5. That's like a lot. And you can reduce it a little bit. Hitting a boss with Petrified risk by 10 seconds. That's pretty good. So you get like the cooldown thing, and if you extend its duration, which effectively is a duration multiplier with the weapon temper, it goes a pretty long way. But yeah, Petrified doesn't really hit, so you can't really do like the lucky crit thingy. Bestial Rampage. After being in a werebear for 2 seconds, deal 50% more damage for 15. After being a werewolf for 2 seconds, gain 30% attack speed for 15. Now, it used to be that that stuff didn't work on your companions, but in Season 4, all of like the generic type of stats actually do work on your minions. So they would get that bonus anyway. But the aspect of the Wild Rage, your companions gain the bonuses from Bestial Rampage key passives. This makes it so they get it twice. So this is really, really ridiculously important that you know how to play this build. There's only one thing that's important, and this is it. You're going to have a trample, which is going to have a cooldown of like, well, it's probably not going to be 14, that's the baseline. Let's say 11 seconds. And you're going to have a Bloodhowl that's probably around there as well. But Bloodhowl's, when you're clearing trash, it's going to have nothing for a cooldown because it refreshes 1 second when you kill something. So when you use Bloodhowl, you want to do nothing for 2 seconds. This is very important. When you use Trample, you want to do nothing for 2 seconds. Now, with your wolves kind of taking 2 seconds to execute their button attack, this means that you want to combo it. You want to press the wolf button and immediately trample and then proceed to do nothing for 2 seconds. If you trample and then you do something like use Poison Creeper earlier than 2 seconds, you will go from the bear mode into human mode, and you will not have the literal double damage bonus for being 2 seconds in bear for the next 15 seconds, which is really not good. Okay. Now, Trample is here kind of as like a crowd control break. You know, Druid struggle with crowd control a little bit, but I have used this exact setup at times in Season 4, and I can tell you that it is good enough. It's a good enough like kind of toolkit to take on the game. In Season 4, this build was doing over 25 million with the Wolf button, and I think we can, even with like day 1, maybe day 2, I think you're going to get this to do like 100 million with the Wolf button. This is kind of like Necromancer 2.0. The only real downside of playing this type of Druid is that you don't have the area of effect skills that, you know, a minion Necro would have. There's a few skills here. The glyphs are generally pretty bad. You know, it's like poisoning damage effects last 40% longer. I mean, I just get that because we have bonuses for poison effects, and it's a little bit of extra damage to poison. Also, the other one here, oh no, it's not that one. It is this one. Enemies damaged by your lightning bolts or dancing bolts take 20% increased damage for 5 seconds. And the normal bonus doesn't do anything. But you know what? There's just nothing else to get. So that's where it's at. I feel like they actually did Companion Druid a big solid in the aspects and the skills themselves for Season 5. But we're really kind of missing the Paragon board rework. Regardless, I expect this build to be extremely good and absolutely playable. The main thing that stopped it beforehand is your companions would die. This, in Season 5, they literally can't. So it's gonna work. If you gotta scratch that companion Druid itch, you can do so in Season 5. And again, if you want to check out the details of the build, please check out my link on Mobalytics below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.